Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, and we will discuss on this. We are just going live now.
Yeah, on YouTube, I saw. Okay, over to you. Yeah. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, and we will discuss on this. We are just going live now. Chandra, are you here?
Yeah, on YouTube, I saw. Okay, over to you.
Pranjal, you are muted, I think.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Oh, I have spoken a lot in my mute. Nice. So, Chandra, I think yeah, he's sorting out his mic. So I was just saying that thank you very much that our session has become across the borders truly. Thank you to the audience, to the academicians and practitioners who are joining every Sunday. We never thought that this would become 5 Sunday series every Sunday, but as we are seeing a lot of enthuse from our participant, from the session, we are working towards that we should hopefully have the session every Sunday. The last session was on SCI and design mentorship. We purposely did not just call it as Sky Clinic because we want to go a little bit broad, and that does not mean that someone should not think about Sky. And right now, we also might not have that particular protocols or sessions, how that facilitation could happen, working towards that thing. And the next session would be announced shortly after this uh, session after by Dr. Sheikh. So we have another 1 minute. So we will request Dr. Sheikh to just test his slide, to share his slide if everything is working fine or not. All. Yeah, thank you. In the meantime, we will have another screen pop up by Chandra. Yes, it's working, changing, I think.
My mic's working now. All right. Oh, great. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, Chandra.
Fantastic.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, your screen nicely
thank you.
all of us.
Pop up by Chandra. This is working, changing.
Great. Pranjal, if it's all right, I'm going to tweet the link out.
Yes.
Great. All right. Are we waiting? We currently have 17 participants. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming in today. We'll wait for 5 more minutes and then start the session.
In the meantime, Chandra, can you share your screen for find SCI research? SCI
Yes, I can do that. Give me 1 minute. I cannot start screen share while other participant is sharing. You know what? I'll share the link to the spreadsheet here. Oh, that's fine. Thanks. I'm sharing my. Hey folks, I trust everyone can see this. Here's the Find an HCI mentor and list of events. We've got around 10 scholars so far who've entered their names to looking for an HCI mentor. We've got 6 mentors in so far whom we can reach out to. And here's the list of events that we've got planned during the rest of June. And I'll be sharing the links on the chat right now, so you folks can see it. You can enter your names, and if you want, you can join our Google groups and Slack channel and Twitter. So
have enabled waiting room to let us know if there's any problem or if someone else wants to join.
Right.
Chandra,
3 more minutes, then we'll start.
yeah, we should start.
Cool.
Chandra, are you starting?
Waiting till 3:35, so we get a few more participants. We had about 60 people signed up for today's session.
We could start a little bit of our housekeeping things.
Fine. Cool, folks.
I want to discuss the RSVP from the people have shared their views on that. If Rashi wants to come in and share something.
Yeah, sure.
It's
So
fine.
we sent out an RSVP form asking what everybody's go-to sources for literature were. Most people have answered that their go-to sources are research papers, online articles, and Google Scholar. We also asked them if there's a strategy that they use for literature reviews, and we got a couple of interesting answers. Some people said that they first identify key concepts, they find out, and then they write down those main ideas. Then they identify the sub-concepts, and they continue doing so until they find what's missing, and then that's where their research question lies. If we can begin now, we can start. Otherwise, I can move on.
I'll kick off today's session. Welcome everyone to our 4th online session of our research paper series. In this session, we'll go over how to do a literature review. In our last 3 sessions, we covered 3 skills which would help you to write and read an HCI research paper and how to conduct qualitative research and coding analysis. While knowing how to write a research paper is important, it is also important to put your research in context. Exploring existing literature helps you understand the problem space, learn from other work, and identify gaps and opportunities for future work. In today's session, we're going to understand how to do a literature review with the guidance of Dr. Javed Anjum Sheikh. When we started the Writing HCI Research Papers series, we never thought we'd reach here. Our sessions have attracted participants from across national borders. We're thankful to our friends from across the Indian subcontinent and beyond. I see people from Europe, from Australia. It's great, and we're really excited to have you here. We'd also like to thank Rashi for making the RSVP form, Priya for making the awesome poster, and Vanshika for handling the emails. I already talked about the Find an HCI Mentor spreadsheet. I'm sharing it again here on the chat, and it's got a list of mentors. You can enter your name if you want to find a mentor. It's also got the events we'll be doing over the next few weeks. Some basic housekeeping rules before we start today's session. I'd like to request everyone to go on mute when another person's speaking. If you have any question, please ask in the chat box. Tanya and Shreya will be monitoring the questions. We've also started the Google group for mailing purposes, and we already have a Slack channel for more than emails. And the links for the same will be shared on the Zoom chat interface. I'm just going to quickly introduce our speaker. Dr. Javed Anjum Sheikh is a user interface researcher and certified knowledge manager with more than a decade of international teaching and research experience. He is currently the Director of QEC and Computing and IT at the University of Sialkot in Sialkot, Pakistan, and was previously the Campus Director of the University of Lahore, Gujarat Campus. His primary interest lies in teaching HCI, specifically to industry practitioners, and he's passionate about joining the dots of technology and culture to create change. Some of his work includes developing Pakistan's first digital library and a process model for culture-specific interface design. His profile on ResearchKit, if you folks want to learn more, has been shared in the chat. Moving to you, Dr. Sheikh. Looking forward to your session today.
Thank you very much. And it is really what Pringle said, we are working on this issue and working on same page. We are on the same page. So thank you very much. I think research does not have any boundaries and all kind of things. So I think everyone is okay if we don't consider the boundaries. Many things. Thanks for my introduction. But few things. There is a one conference allied at human factor and design. I'm working over there last 2016. Present my tutorials on different HCI issues. I have done PhD in Middlesex University, London, and then further go further around. If you see, someone sent me when I was doing PhD. The last picture one is quite clear. I was volunteering in London Marathon, and just I saw the policeman, and I said, just want to take snap with you. And suddenly I took this pose. And if you see, the policeman is smiling. Anyway, we go further, and first thing first. Very strange. Mr. Stephen Covey said, put first thing first, but choose habit 3. It's supposed to be 1. Okay, what happened? We all the time, I think most of the time you see, we always collect the paper, download the paper, and then what happened? Happened this one. We don't know what is inside the paper, and it was save one. So I think before I start the literature review, I give you a few things which you need to understand better. Instead of you just write randomly save paper in your folder, write down in this way. The first is year, then J or C, it is about journal or conference, and then they give them the full title. So by this way, you know how many titles do you have, latest one, how many titles do you have obsolete. And then you go for folders, and folders, subfolders, and that is, you can go. Okay, this is the, there are different kind of matrices when you keep, obviously when you read the paper, before you write the paper, obviously you read the paper. So when you read the paper, ultimately you keep them some in a different way. The best thing is you just use Excel sheets, write down all the things, and it will help you later when you start writing properly. Okay, let's come to simply. What is literature? Very simple. There are a lot of material is available in this world. So you need to find your specific topic and then group them in different themes, which is particularly related to you, and then evaluate them. For example, if you want to study on mobile, okay, then mobile HCI, then mobile HCI for the elder people. So you see, themes are there, specific topics are there, and you need to evaluate them to find the room for your own research. And obviously, when you read, you need to access critical analysis. When you do the critical analysis, ultimately you get some summary, comparison, and evaluation of different things. And the purpose of literature review is very simple. You need to establish a theory. Why? Because what happened when you read some studies, some of the topics, so what happened there, you see there are some definitions, key terminologies, and the subject area, right? And when you with the whole pictures, there is very simple for you. You find out that research topic belong to your area. A lot of books are there, a lot of things are there which are available for you. I think that is a very good map which show you how much weightage or percentage is available for particular topic or particular themes when you go for the literature review. Either is a books, either journal scholars, patents, dissertations, data sets, gray literature, and all kind of things. So it's a very unique thing. You find different things, and it's very difficult sometimes to find the right thing for yourself. So you have to dig. You have to dig and dig and dig, and unless you find the things which are very close to your related things. Basically, when you go for a literature review, basically, actually, there are two things. Just remember, there is a what is literature review, and the second thing is how to write a literature review. So we are not, I'm not discussing what is literature review. I'm discussing how to write a literature review. But before you start writing literature review, certainly you need few things which ingredient you have to be considered when you go further in writing phase. So what happened when you read literature review, you certainly get the theory, why that area is developed. What was the actually, for example, in early 19th centuries, there was a one subject economics, right? After some time, there is a one subject came out political science. That's a part of economics, right? And the political science has a part of international relation. Now, international relation is separate subjects. So that's are the theory, that's are the subject which come gradually and day by day when the researches comes out and people thinks different way and different angles. Then you find the methodology. Uh, okay, what sort of method is available there, and how did they choose it? Because sometimes what happens, there is a problem is same, the method is different, and sometimes they choose the same method and problem is actually, for example, one person has a problem and he did cluster analysis, and the other person did the same problem with the factor analysis. So obviously these are the two methods, and the third person finds the gap. They say, okay, everyone, both are claiming that their method is good, so why don't you evaluate same time both of them? So that's the gap, right? So it's sometimes it's not difficult to find the gap, but certainly you read very uh, what you say specifically the things. I'm not with, I just said, okay, I'm not going in depth, but if you want to read a study, there's a link available and you know, okay, what are the review? Because if there is a, what is literature review, then ultimately that is a hot topic for that one. So next come to the literature side. Uh, what happened there? Obviously your teacher, your supervisor, and sometime you yourself, you have some idea. You say, okay, that is a problem. Okay, fine, that's a problem. Everyone accept your problem. Okay, do you have any foundation for that problems? So ultimately, then you review the uh, uh, discipline styles. You review the books which are available in your field, and then you search the literature, right? And search the literature. Ultimately, you find something which is very close to you. And for example, and then you go for critical analysis. Okay, either really it is belong to my area or not. Then synthesize and write the review. That's the final stage what we are talking about. So that is a circle moving around. Just if you have a question with such questions, your problems, then it's very easy for you to find the literature belong to your area. Otherwise, sometimes it's very difficult. So when you find literature in your area, then you see there are a lot of things are there. Number, you read them and you find, oh, there are a lot of concepts like mobile HCI. Okay, mobile HCI for the woman, mobile HCI for the elder people, mobile HCI for the special people, right? So then you find the concept over there, and then you see the patterns are going on. People are thinking, working on them in a particular pattern. So for example, HCI, yeah, cross-cultural websites, right? Cross-cultural website. Okay, then they go for pattern in the cross-cultural website in tourism, cross-cultural websites in the fashion, design, and all kind of things. And ultimately, you get the some gaps, and obviously, you also notice that there are arguments which are very, really uh, important when you write your own wording. And in this context, I always recommend for everyone, okay, watch, there is a one movie, 12 Angry Men. It's old movie, but if you watch that one, that's the best example of how to write your argument, how to make your uh, point, how to make the point for the active one. Okay, 3 points when you write ultimately introduction, body, and conclusion, that's apply on everything. So ultimately, they are also applied on structure of literature review. Literature review. Okay. So what happened in introduction? It's very simple. You just introduce. I think there is a mention is 1 to 2 paragraph, but I think there is at least 3 to 4 paragraphs. In the first paragraph, you start in very big pictures, then you narrow down it, and sometimes you need to more narrow down it. I give you one example. If you want to do research, let's say the world, and there's a 7 world, 7 continents, and there's a one Asia, then is India, and then the Mumbai, right? So you have to start from the universe. So if you finish in the three paragraphs, so in 3 paragraphs, it is very easy for you to write down. And the last paragraph, you give some this what is coming next areas. And same thing, there is a context and the importance, aims and intentions, scope, key themes. These are the area which is really if you mention them, and obviously these are the not difficult. I give you one example here. Thesis or maybe journal paper or articles. Let's say thesis. Thesis have chapters. Chapter has paragraph, right? In one, the ideal paragraph is 7 to 10 lines. 7 to 10 lines in paragraph, and in one paragraph you have to discuss only one idea, one theme. Okay, and if you are writing 2 themes, it means you go for the next paragraph and go for it. That's the idealistic things. In the body, obviously, you write down the details about what kind of themes are there, and there are obviously you go for the expert views. Expert views is the people who are field in have a high caliber, and they everywhere you find their names for their thesis. Same thing with the theories. Obviously, you if you give the theories and then you want to enlarge the theories, ultimately you need in the mentioning the body area. And conclusion is the same. It's the opposite of introduction. In an introduction, you say, I will do this thing, I will this. But in the conclusion, you say, I write down in this way, and all the things which are already discussed, but discuss in the past tense. Okay, there is a one things which is I would like to say and mention, okay, how to produce a good literature review. Okay, this is quite difficult, I think. Let me change my glasses. Okay, identify gap in literature. Very simple. It's not difficult to find a gap. The thing is, but you need to understand what is going on. The best thing you find the gap, read latest literature from the conferences. And if you read the paper in a particular, narrow down it, you can very easy it. And very simple. What to do it? Very simple. Write down, download the papers related to your topics. Let's say on the basis on just title. Fine. And then narrow down it, then download it, then you read their abstracts, and then conclusion part. So obviously 100 paper is difficult for you. So you're simple, what you do it, you minus them, and then find the people working in your area. And most of the time, to be very honest, I don't feel shame to say these things. When I read the paper and sometimes have a confusion or have a problem, I immediately call email to that author and ask them a few questions. What is the current status? And this kind of question, and certainly he give me the answers, or maybe sometime he send me the latest paper. Okay, identify major seminal works. Okay, yes, that's very important, because sometimes we read old paper, maybe 2 years before, and some we find very good, this paper is there, and ultimately we are ready to understand what is going on. But sometimes, because it's a 2-year-old paper, maybe someone already started work on it. So it is very careful when you propose or write or understand or read something which is very difficult. Identify main methodology and research techniques. This is not a big deal, but the issue, the same thing which I earlier mentioned, you can use method for the same problem but different methods. But if you can't do the same method, so obviously if you have a idea about the methods, then it is very easy for you which method is appropriate for your problem. And then identify main ideas, conclusion, and establish similarity and differences. It is very simple. You see, you read. If you read the paper, you can find sometime some people are arguing against the same thing which someone has already favor in the favor. Like the Mr. There is a one paper on the Mr. A said, "Oh, that's a very good paper," and all the things which he mentioned is very appealing. But the other Mr. B came here and Mr. B said, no, 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 this is not the right things. What he did is, and it's better we design. So that is very easy for you to find the similarity and advantage, disadvantage things are on the same paper, same topic, same thing. But when the people write in a different people, and that's a different opinion. So you can't say this one. Achha, provide a context of your own research. Okay, when you do all the things, ultimately there's some little bit room for your own problem, for your own research area which you are struggling for, which maybe you are looking for research to, or maybe you're finding the ground for your research. And then obviously you need to show relationship between your study and the previous research. Obviously, if you go for mobile HCI, it doesn't mean you choose website evaluation paper and all kind of things. You have to have a mobile HCI papers and this thing. And finally, finding the information and already exist in your field of research. Okay. Not 100% is available in your field, but sometime 80%, 70% are already available, what people have done. My PhD supervisor, when he was going to finish his PhD and he's writing stage, he suddenly found the work she's doing already has been done 2 months before. So you have to be aware all the times, okay, what is going on in the field, your field. Otherwise, it's sometimes very difficult for you go. So same thing which I said earlier, said okay, first stage, second stage. In the first stage, you need to think what are the paper titles and abstracts and the conclusion part. And that's you just need to scan them. You don't need to be 100% read one by word. And then the second part, if you think that is a really close to your research, then you go for read further in more depth. Actually, the reason I justify this is a simple this thing. You are looking your area from the other people's ground because you want to develop your own research. So ultimately, if you give them negative or opposite point, so it is very simple for you to find the which are you agree or maybe disagree with the other people's. There is a checklist if you need to understand what is going on. Writing skills are obviously you can't read everything. It's very difficult. There is 100 people. When I say just choose paper on the basis of title, it's not good. You read every paper. It's very difficult for you. Select them, and then when you read, try to write something. And the best thing is I always advise to because we are living in we are non-native speaker of English, so I always advise my students read BBC News and then go for your own local Hindi or Urdu news, and then try to understand what's going on out there and then write yourself. So same here, when you read something, you have to write a little bit. What is your understanding? You have to write your saying. And don't miss their citations, details, information, references, details. And if you don't have, maybe sometime you read and then you forget to write down here. I still remember during my PhD, my supervisor said, "Who said this?" I say, "I." "Who the hell are you?" Obviously, that point was quite strong arguments, and that I forgot who said this thing, but I said it's myself. So my supervisor was quite angry. What makes a good literature review? Simple, very simple. It's nothing to do. If you know how to criticize other people's work, right? I can give you more example. If you see other side of the coin. That's very easy to make a good literature review or write a good literature. If you know the other side of the coin, if you don't know, that's very difficult for you. Selection is not difficult. The thing is, when you select them, you know you have to aware of that one, okay, which is your what you say, your area. The area wise, if things are no find it, because I obviously there is one example. Yeah, there is a one book on Asian drama, that is on economics. So obviously, if you choose the select just based of their title and all kind of thing, like nowadays there is a buzzword, COVID-19. Everybody writing on COVID-19, and the paper are accepting by the main people who are publishing springers and all kind of things. COVID-19, that is the buzzword. You write down just COVID-19, COVID-19, and even the whole paper you write down just only one word, the paper will be accepted. So read the paper which has very focus on development area and which are the latest paper, and then don't pick any paper which is 5 years old or 3-4 years old. Criticism is very simple. The thing is, when you write the literature, obviously that's the style ladder. You start from the broad form and then go for narrow down it simply. And that is the only thing. Say, if you widely focus on your specific research area, you need to know the relevant issue, current issues. Current issues only you can find in latest conferences and all kinds of things. But the same thing, you know how to criticize the things, and it's very simple. When interpret or evaluate, ultimately you read something, then you have your own understanding. Okay, then you put your own understanding related to your research area, your research topics. If you do this thing, that's very easy for you to find the gap. Normally, there is a one more thing, because we are not native speaker, that's very difficult for us to understand the theme. And first of all, we have to accept our this thing. First of all, we are not motivated to read, and if someone read it, we don't know understand it, understanding problem. And if understand it someone, and then he says what to do it now. So the thing is, the same way I say, okay, read it and then write down in your own word. So if you do this thing, it's very easy for you. It is assessment criteria. Ultimately, it depends upon who is the author and who is university or something like. I'm not biased, but when I was, because I did PhD in UK, so someone told me over there, okay, when you read something, you read always check who is the author, and if the author is native speaker, then paper is he's supposed to be valid paper for him. But I say no, it's not right, because spoken English is different thing, academic writing is different things, and that's why we are edge. And there is a one time happen over there, even they were teaching academic writing class, and teacher was not aware what is the difference between present perfect tense and past indefinite tense. So when I explained it, he was shocked. And but obviously he was really shocked. Even I don't know. I know I'm Punjabi, and I did not learn Punjabi in grammar. So these are the things when you assess the things and interpret the things. That is the only thing when you think it is really important, and how to translate in their own according to your domain or your research area. Okay, validity is the same thing with Kamsankaji. The paper is written or supporting by conference or universities, or there are a lot of fake conferences. So are the conferences peer reviewed, or yeah, for example, sometimes you find good article on the website, like we don't like Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is good if you want to establish your knowledge, but you can't quote them. The same thing is when you read the paper, journal paper, a conference paper, you have to understand where it come from, right? And obviously, for example, if I'm writing first time, maybe no one knows my name, but if I'm writing last 10 years, ultimately my name will be everywhere. So you can understand that's the worth of the writing, and that's the worth of the things which is bring qualify any paper which is you are thinking is good or not. Then accuracy is sometime, most of the people just fabricate the result. Uh, they are not real results. They just fabricate results and change the result and then bring a new paper and then another paper and then another paper. So you check them. Okay, if you find one paper which is very similar to other, then immediately check the author names. If the same author name is, it means ultimately okay, that is not the result, and idea and methods are not accurate, which you go for it. Objectivity is ultimately why people write down and why the argument over there. Uh, if the objectivity is not clear, maybe sometime you see the people write the paper, and that is not the right direction. And sometimes because the conference want just money, so they allow to publish their paper, but inside the paper there is a nothing. And sometime the same paper they have a give the different titles and they publish it, which is ultimately not the right thing. But objectivity is there. The paper the theme which is really well close to your what is that uh, yes, there is a not biasness is over there. Objectivity point of view. Okay, obviously, for example, there is a person you are start writing on alcohol, and then the other person is writing in the favor of alcohol. So both have an objective, but the question is, okay, where is the biasness? Is there any biasness in the results? Right? The maybe the person who does not like alcohol writing a paper on against the alcohol. So obviously, he always try to prove the alcohol is not good. The person who like alcohol and working on alcohol, obviously. So this background sometimes help to understand kind of thing is. Then currency, obviously it's a currency. Maybe I don't know why people give them name, but the publishing date is very important. If you choose the paper 2020 and then read the references, go for them, it will be nice idea. But if you see the paper 2005 or 6 or 7, maybe the research has been done, or maybe research has been advanced, which is mentioned over there. So better choose the latest paper and then coverage it, find that one. And that is same thing, the locations. I don't like this idea, just because of the Chinese or Korean and all papers are not rubbish or something like that. No, that's not the thing is. Maybe not every paper is bad, not every paper is good, right? That is your up to the previously accuracy and justification. If you find out, then you go for it. But the thing is, you have to understand what is the idea given over there. If you like any suspicious in the paper, just check the author names and find out similar things, or maybe find other work of that author. So then you can find out that the paper is good or not, something like that. So but I think when you consider of our question, you ask yourself, what does it mean? Simply, all these, when you check list, when you do this checklist, ultimately you find out, okay, how many papers are really good for your research, how many papers are supporting your arguments, how many papers are not supporting your argument, but that's are useful to write down something which is best for your papers. Okay. Then summarizing, analyzing, and organizing your readings. Okay, so just sit down and then see what are the. Did you remember I showed you one matrix in a blue color line, one line, this one. If you fill this one, and then ultimately you have a quiet literature review with you. Now start working on them and then write down one by one in a chronicle order. Okay, what research happened, what time and how much time, and what is the status of the current of the research. It's very uh, simple things which we have to understand, that the guidelines and the presentation of the work, written work is very clarity give them. For example, uh, I give you one thing. There are different things. For example, if you go for thesis, if you go for paper, there's a different treatment for the literature review. And for example, if you write down your proposal, that's how you need very strong literature review, because your future is dependent on that one. Because that your literature review will establish your proposal, your research question, your research idea. In the paper you just glance over there, but in the thesis you have to give the very extensive, all the specs and all kind of things. For example, and during my viva, Hofstede, I was there is a Hofstede because I did the cross cultural study on the designing. So I didn't like the idea of Hofstede, so I said that's the old thing and that is not appropriate for my research, so I'm not choosing this one. So the external was very furious and he was quite angry. He said, no, you have to mention them, and you have to if you want to criticize this, you give them solid reasons. Otherwise, that's not write down, okay, that's not good. You have to have some justification. And ultimately, I did them, and then he was happy. The thing is, when you're summarizing your work, you're reading your work, analysis your work, that's the only thing is what kind of what is the result of your all the searching, all the writing. And finally, when you see summarize your identification, then you link them. I think earlier I said one chapter, all the chapters are related to each other, and then every chapter has a paragraph, and paragraphs are related to each other. So here you write down, identify the things is in which are the positive points for your which positive points supporting your research, and which are the points which are not supporting your work. Or ultimately, you find that there are some still future work or unanswered questions are there. So ultimately, that is a possible direction for your future work. And that other person's future work is your area, and you can dig them for your own research. Okay, that is some examples. I think I give the link over there, and you can see this example in the different colors. 1 minute. Okay, different colors. Okay, if you see the pink color, I think is a pink color. Okay, pink color is belong to something 5 major themes, discuss major themes, and the 5 discuss major themes are in a green color, right? And the purple color, that's purple, that's I think I'm not sure what is English word for the saffron. I think this is saffrani color. Okay, maybe someone guide me. What is it? Okay, that is the concluding remarks. So if you write down in the color them, then it would be very easy for you when you next time read them, you understand them. Okay, how to read them. And the same thing is here. The outlining your main claim, and then you write down claim, and there are two simple people are writing here. There's a group of people who are writing, and then he cited in Robin. That's a good idea if you write down citing in Ribbon et al. Same examples are here. Then another example is here, and then another example is there. Okay, and then yes, these are now it's actually we start the working on
I think suddenly he has been dropped from the Zoom. So we shall wait for 1 minute for him to reconnect. Yes, he is joining back right now. Sorry guys, I think there is some issue. Just give 2 more minutes. In between, if you guys want to discuss, um, up to you guys.
Hello. They are saying there is a light issue in Pakistan. I have contacted them.
Okay, so does that mean it would be difficult for him to join? I think.
Maybe he could simply join back and using his phone if his phone has enough charge left, and we may not need slides. He could simply, speak
Yes.
from his own experience. And if we have any questions, we could like ask him and he would handle them.
Thank you. He has joined back again. Yeah, he's there.
Time, electricity. Okay. These are the verbs which sometime when we write our arguments or our points to describe other people's work. So these are the suggest, argue, contain. These are all related to the favor or in favor of your own work. It's very simple. If you write down something, obviously choose some soft words, and if you against them, not really strong word, but maybe a little bit tough.
Sorry, Professor, I think you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. These are, oh my God. Okay. These are the verb which we normally use them to support our claim or arguments. If you want to use in favor of us, ultimately we use some little bit soft words. And if we want to use against, but not really rough, tough, but little bit strong word. These are the most common. These all the things is depend upon the nature of your arguments, right? And if you continuously read papers and before you writing some things, you can find all these words are available over there. Similarly, when you make agreements, author B point said these things, and likewise and other. These are the things which conjugation, which makes two sentences in a one sentence to make you agreement or disagreements. Uh, uh, these are the basic qualities when you write down literature review. And if you familiar with these words, that is good. You have a really good idea. Okay. Can you see my slides or not?
We are able to
Yes,
see your
yes,
slides.
yes.
Okay. Same thing with the tense. Tense. When you start our writing our thesis, so we normally use basically when the working on this, we normally use present tense, and then we go for further down. Then, and when we finish, we obviously use the past tense. And simple is same here. What's about the thesis chapter and section does examples. The thesis presents these things and the chapter present provide this thing, and this section is the present. We always use the present, but if we things which is point out the other people's work, then we use the past tense. So you have to clear these things. If you for example, if you say Mr. A said this thing and B said these things, and so obviously use the past tense. But when you describing your own work, you said you use the present tense. These are the citations, and obviously the finally there are 6 points when you take a good literature. What is it's a you have to tell everything which is related to your area, concise, not tell them everything, uh, not explain everything, just say concise, to be specific to the point, appropriate by thing. And logically, certainly logically mean when you write down start working, there should be some echo, some rhythm. There's not up downs, just flat tone. You have to write down in a different mode. Develop, don't leave the just start if you first, for example, if you are telling something theory or maybe explaining draft, you have to complete draft, and after the your story, you have to put some your own words. What is your idea? That is good for you or not? And obviously go for the current review, which is more easy for you. We normally if we start writing and we don't have enough information or maybe irrelevant material, ultimately that will not be considered a good literature review. That's the checklist. I said, I think I used the word skim and scan. Obviously, you can't read 100 line paper. The best thing is a skim. Maybe there are some tools are available, and there are some which always highlight the point which are the more important. Better just glance over your paper, your things. That is easy for you. And the final word is write, edit, write, unless you think that is you are tired now. But obviously, you have to be patient because it's not one time you can write down. And I'm sure if you have your first draft of anything, right, and after a few years check that draft, you will be shocked. You will be not accept that is your draft because by the passage of the time, you have the improvement and all kind of things. Uh, and the final, I would like to say,
I think there has been power cut again. So in the interest of the time, till the time he joins back, if someone wants to carry forward the conversation, or we could start discussing the questions what people have written down here. Up to you guys. If someone has some particular points you would love to share, or reiterate the point what Dr. Sheikh has given to us.
I think we could discuss some of the questions that are there in the chat box. There's one question that, I mean, few we really expect Professor Saab to talk about, but there's one question that talks about if there's a time gap. If, for example, the review has already been written some years back, and then it takes you a few years to finish your thesis, which is what is very normal here, then how do you tackle that? Maybe people can share from their own experiences, or yeah, so that we don't really, or maybe he's back.
Professor, I think your video is off, and your mic is also off, or you are on mute.
Okay. There is at the end. There is some one more slides are left. Okay, but I think it's enough. I would like to answer the questions. Okay, there's a one thing is very interesting. I would like to mention here: 50 smart literature review templates. I explored them and I found them very much good. It depends upon what your supervisor looking for or what is easy for you. But 50 is, I think people did very much. I think from the different universities, the link is there. And there are some references which I use from my presentation or all kind of things. And sorry, there is an interruption because of electricity in my area. There is some maintenance working going on, so that's why he's happening there. So I would like to answer the questions if someone has. So
Yeah, sure. We can begin the Q&A session now. So Maimuna Begum Kohli has asked if you could please discuss a little bit more about criticism or strategies on how to critically analyze a paper.
okay, simple. Look, one of the major when we read literature is the thing is to find out the deficiency. Okay, okay, you read something, okay, and then you say, okay, that is not good idea to present a work on this one. So how to criticize them? You need to criticize with the evidence, right? What evidence? That evidence which are support your point of view, but against that point of view, right? For example, like in the Hofstede. Hofstede did a very good culture study, fine. Everybody liked this one. I think few months before he died. And my objection on this theory is that study is old one, that is not applicable to now. We need to do the redo his study. So what he did, Hofstede, instead of the 4 point, now they have a 6 points, but he kept keep the same 4 point previously. So it's very easy criticize. When you criticize them, it's very simple. How do you criticize the movies? How do you criticize the dramas? How do you criticize the politicians? It's very simple. You find something which is not appropriate, which is not according to the your nature of your study. So ultimately, then you go far against them. Okay, but when you go against them, it's not I don't like this one. No, that's not like that. You mention them according to your own understanding and apply the methods and the criteria which you are evaluating your own research. Because if you don't criticize them, your research will not be go further. Yes.
Hafsa has a couple of questions. The first one is for PhD thesis write-up, which style of literature must be followed, critical or argumentative?
Yes. You start from the critical, right? And then you go for argumented. You keep the both one. If you keep the one critical one, ultimately it's quite difficult for you, or maybe if you keep the argumented one, it is very difficult how to establish your own research problem, right? To develop your own research problem, you have to start from the critical and then go for argument. Critical, obviously, it will support your work, and argument also support your work. But obviously, you give them the negative point or positive point if they are not against in favor of your own research question or research problem.
Another question they had was, how can a confirmatory study be conducted in computing, especially HCI or gamification?
I think someone asked or reply this one. I don't have any. I missed something because it was not on my slides, and I did not. But confirmatory study is no, I don't explain at this moment because there's very less electricity in my area and my AC is off. I'm burning now. Yes, please.
Okay, sure. The next question is, normally literature review is conducted and written in early stages of the PhD, but unfortunately local PhD takes 5 to 7 years to complete. So by the time the PhD is completed, the literature review becomes old or obsolete. So what do you do in such situations?
Okay, my PhD is from UK. So I all the time do the research, literature review. That's not okay. You this is chapter 1, this is chapter 2, chapter 3. No. Over there, I did all the chapter right together, one by one. Whenever I want to add something, chapter 1, I add it. when I want to add something, edit in literature review. So you need to study all the times. Okay, when you establish your problem, that's a different literature review. But when you write down your thesis, that you have to extended version of this one. Maybe you in 2018 you started your research in PhD. That time literature review was available, different literature was available. But at the time of finishing, after 2 years or 3 years, the more literature is available, so you had them. So I don't think so. Okay, it is a good idea. Okay, you just write down literature review in first 2-3 years and then don't check them and don't add them and don't extend them.
The next question is by Ehsan Ullah Mirza. He says, for systematic literature review, what is a good style or a way to sum up the literature? And do you select papers based on relevance and citation number, or do you select latest papers from good conferences and journals?
Okay, the thing is, the best idea to select your paper is find out latest conferences in your area. Area means research area. And then, for example, if I found papers some on, because my students are working on women gender design. So I found something which is 2020 paper. And then I say, okay, just don't read any paper, just read this one, and then choose the paper which are cited in this paper. So obviously, if the conference paper is latest journal paper, take 1 to 2 years, and books like 3 years. So better the conferences are a good idea. Take this one and take on the year basis, right? If you go for the year 2019, 18, there's a lot of difference between 18 paper and the paper published in the 20.
And he says, what's a good way or a style to sum up the literature?
Your sum up, okay. Okay, sometimes the way we start writing, a way we do the thing is the different things. Okay, you have research questions, maybe vague research question. You don't have the clear idea about the research question, but you know that's the problem. Okay, ultimately, then for the research question, you need a problem, and for the problem, you need a literature review. So your all literatures, when you come up, when you end, you have to produce your research, your problem statement. So that's the end. If you start from the umbrella shape, about the broader side, and then narrow down it on the research base, on the according to your themes, and then at the end you just produce one thing, problem statement, and then problem statement give you the literature research question. So that's the only way. If you just finish all the references, citations, literatures, and at the end you do not give problem statement, that's not good literature review.
Okay, Harsham Taswar asks, which methodology is best for collecting data for research?
Which methodology? I think that's a different thing. Is maybe you go for survey, you go for questionnaires. There are a lot of things. It depends upon how you deal with this one. For example, survey, or maybe the questionnaires, or maybe the interview. It's a good idea for the interview, for the survey. The thing is, sometimes it's very difficult to get the data according to our nature. Better is use the combination of a mixed methods, that is more appropriate as compared to the go for the one design or one survey or one something like that. Because if you choose mix and match, then it is easy to get the more data from the other people. Otherwise, if you stick with someone, it's very difficult for them to get all the material which is you are in that specific time. Because if you have a constraint of the time, particularly PhD research or maybe MS research, 6 months or 1 year.
Okay, Aisha Khalid says, is there a set number of papers that one may include in an article based on literature review?
No. I see. I think I give the example of COVID-19. I saw one paper on somewhere. There is a more than 20 authors. There is no need to. It's how many authors are writing this one or this. It's nothing. It's up to you how many. But obviously, the more authors mean the more research work is over there.
Deepak says, what if you work in a novel area and you don't find any relevant literature? How do you manage to publish such work?
No, I think we are not Einstein. Obviously, it's mean that there is a lack of searching techniques. Uh, all the things are available. I don't think so. Anything you find which is not available, maybe slide, maybe less is possible, but zero results. I don't think so. I don't buy this argument.
Okay, and Kaveh Bazargan asks, what is the average number of journal and conference papers PhD students in HCI are expected to read every week or month?
It depends upon your speed. If you read paper, you can read one paper daily. During my PhD, we read the paper one daily, sometimes two, and sometimes three, and sometimes zero. It depends upon, because research is okay. Research come from inside. Research is not 24-hour job. Research is 26-hour job. Right? During my PhD, sometimes I will sit all the day and we didn't find anything, write single word. And sometimes we went in. I mean, I'm sure if there is any PhD, they have watched movie Beautiful Mind. He got the idea when he was in the bar. So it depends upon how the way you are learning, reading, all the things. It depends upon you. It's not a particular say how. There's no magic number. You can read one or two. You need to read by heart. You need to understand what are you reading this one. Don't force yourself. If you want to read, don't force them. If you force them, you will not find anything. Even you read the 10 paper one in a day.
And similarly, Hafsa is asking, how many number of references should be added in PhD thesis literature review chapter?
Okay, I have one paper, 33 pages and 40 pages of references. There's no magic number. There's no magic number. Trust me, I can send you. That's a woman gender design. That's a gender design. 33, 7 authors, 33 pages and 40 pages, and 278 references in just 33 pages paper. Right. So there is no magic number. No magic number.
Okay. Maimuna Begum Kohli is asking, can you please discuss the search strategy?
Search strategy is very simple. There are a few things. For example, mobile HCI. Mobile HCI. If you write down mobile and HCI, you can find a lot of. But if you inverted comma, you can get less. Then mobile HCI PDF, mobile HCI PPT. It depends upon how the way you are looking for it. For example, if you want mobile HCI, but you don't want the paper 2017, so just write down mobile HCI 2020 3.20189. There are different techniques. You can choose them and very available. And if you want, I can send them all the criteria how to find, how to search the journals, article, papers, and all.
Does anyone else have any other questions? You can send them in on the chat.
And what we could also do, if there are no more questions, I think there is one more question.
Asma asks, how can you find the paper in conferences or journals?
How you find the people? How you
How can you find the paper in conferences or journals?
Okay. You need okay. There is a nowadays by the grace of COVID-19, every conference is virtual, so it's very easy. Particularly Kai one is giving a lot of stuff. Paper is very simple. Okay, first you need to idea which you are looking for. Okay, number one. Number two, if you write down your word artificial intelligence, write down artificial intelligence and write down a conference. So you look at a lot of conferences. IEEE, ACM, there are a lot of conferences they are organizing. And apart from both of organization, there are many conferences which are going on. You just write down the keyword and then write down next to the word conference. So you will get the list of conferences. Then visit their websites and see they are going on forthcoming, or maybe they have past conferences. If they are forthgoing, just keep eye on them and see what's their paper presenting, because every conference has their program, and in the program they mention the what paper are going to present over there. Then choose any paper and Google it, and you will get some idea about the authors, and then send them email, or maybe if you have money you can buy them, or maybe if you have some websites, okay, you can download from them. Maybe there is a Facebook, there are a lot of groups which if you mention there, they will arrange paper for you.
Ehsan says, please could you summarize the steps for systematic review?
I can't really at the moment summarize them because 1 minute. Yes. Okay, I earlier said this is not what is literature review, right? It is how to write a literature review. So that's why I give a link over there, right? And someone asked a similar question the same before I said this thing. So for the more this one, you can find this link over there, right? And because this was not uh, I was thinking, maybe I'm wrong. I think I was wrong. So that's why I skipped these things and just put one slide over there.
Taiba says, what sort of major patterns are needed to be identified while analyzing literature? I think you mentioned it in your second slide.
Yeah. This one. Yeah, pattern is when you say a pattern, obviously you have a particular we have paper of bulk of paper of the particular domain, and then that domain have a diff all the time. For example, sometimes they use uh, uh, the problem your area is using qualitative methods, some are using quantitative methods, some are using mixed methods. These are the patterns. Then in the mixed method, what are they using? That's a different things. So you can find the pattern, all the areas, regardless of computer science and the other things, they all are using a similar pattern.
Okay. Maimuna says, you mentioned the language structure for the literature review. She would like to know more about the sentence structures.
Sentence structures, this one. You see, if you are agree with someone, so you can use the word similarly, likewise. Author D also make this point. Again, it is possible. When you say agreement, it means that agreement is with your research area, and disagreement mean not agree with your research area. So that's why when you write down your agreement area, so you are using very polite words, similarly, likewise, right? However is obviously strong words. However, on the other hand, conversely, nevertheless, these are the words which are going to against the wind, not saying against the wind, but it is against your area. So that's why you are not like them. So that's why you say that is have a flaw in the methods, flaw in a research area, flaw in a future work. I think Mamuna was asking for this slide, I think.
She's talking about tense, like present perfect tense.
Oh, example. Okay. I'm not sure if she's asking for example. Actually, what happened during my PhD, there was academic writing class. And what happened there? There is a one guy who came with me. He left the classroom. When I came in the class, so he said, "Mega, where is that guy?" So my teacher said, he went. So I said, no, he not went. He has gone. So he said, what does it mean? It? I said, because he will come back. If he went, it means he will not come here. And then I explain what is present indefinite, past indefinite, present perfect. So he was shocked. Similarly with some, I didn't learn Punjabi or Urdu with grammar. So that's the things. That's why when I say, when my supervisor said, not supervisor, my friend said, choose those papers which are written by native speakers. They are good in English. So I don't think so. That's a good in English. Speaking English is different things. Writing English is different things. So you need to understand when you discuss something which is about current situation, so you have to write down the present tense. But if you discuss some other people's work, and then you need to write down the past tense.
Mala is asking, what are the benefits of completely ignoring literature review?
Right. So this question is not directed to doctor, but I mean, we all can probably discuss. So there are, I mean, if everyone is okay. So the thing is, so there are, I think there should be some benefits of completely ignoring literature review at some point in time. Say for example, looking at the topic with a blank slate, or you get fresh ideas or something like that. You are not colored basically. So along those lines, do you have any pointers? What are the benefits?
If anybody else wants to contribute to this, they can.
So continuing the thought, so recently I was so I'm a games researcher. I research games, and I found that cooperative games is a topic where there is a lot of conflict. And so a student who is researching about cooperating games at a master's or a PhD level, although he will form good arguments about why a certain game is a cooperative or not, but he will not have a strong opinion on what cooperative game is, as compared to a student who has not at all heard or learned about cooperative games. So that student will be able to come up with his or her own definitions of cooperative games. Similarly in HCI as well, like literature review is done. I mean, I think it is done to learn about the state of the art, like you said, uh, understanding the recent literature or something, recent literature or more established literature or more conclusive literature. So it is okay if conclusive literature is considered uh, for building arguments, but if there will be certain areas, like you said, all the areas might not be developed and all areas need to be criticized and so forth. What uh, do you think there are benefits of starting your research without any literature review at all?
Also, if someone else wants to comment on this point, or Aisha, you are raising your hand if you want to speak something.
Hello, this is Nova. I think it's a nice question, but starting with the literature review gives a little bit of groundwork, even if there is no direct work exactly like what we are trying to do, but looking at what is not there, what is there, or what is there in different contexts gives us a kind of a level of where we are, an understanding of what's being done, what others are doing. So that I think is important before we start. I mean, it's part of the exploration, part of understanding the problem itself. I don't know if it answered your question. Thank you.
My thing is, if you don't have a literature review, how can you establish your problem statement? A research question.
Yes.
So, like I gave the example of cooperative games, I know most of the people or many people will be not aware of the context. but there is a huge tussle in the domain about what cooperative games are. In such a situation, although it is good to understand what constitutes a particular topic, what are the characteristics of it, but at the same time, if we are constructing something like a game, if I am constructing a new concept, I think it would be nice to just let go of literature review initially, and then probably come in with concepts that are helping my own idea.
I understand your question. This is Nova again.
Your-
I think it's like my uncle said, like when he writes a science fiction novel, he doesn't want to read other science fiction novels so that he gets too much influenced by what is out there. I think it's probably coming from that context, but still I think from a researcher's perspective, knowing, having a general idea of what is out there will give you a better idea, because in research, even if you have something very similar, you never know, that can inspire you to go deeper, think differently, think about the whole that's not there. I mean, sometimes we read a paper and feel like, oh, they have just discovered what I was thinking. But if we think through that critically and spend lots of time reading and thinking, I think you will come up with a much better idea than the very first intuitive one. That's what I think. Thank you.
So then where did you get the idea, if that is your own idea? So obviously there is some
So
motivation from that idea.
I get your point, Noah and Dr. Javed. Uh, my question is, I mean, the doubt lies probably beneath that as well. Like I explained, like it is not just about not getting influenced by other research. It is also about uh, making your own definitions that need backing. Probably that might yield a new idea, right? So say for example, in HCI context, reflective technology is something that has not been defined properly yet, and there are tussles in that as well. How, so if I were to come up with my definitions that can be contested in future, would that be a good idea?
Yes, somehow you need to, your idea, your thing is good, okay, if it is acceptable, it will be long run, okay. Action and reaction is equal but opposite side. Obviously before this there was no thing. Obviously if you have a same idea and then you prove this one, and ultimately everything is sure, you will be the king.
Hi, this is Anupriya this side. I don't know whether this adds to your doubt or not, but I was thinking there is this concept of positional definition. So with that, you take up for your particular research, like we define the context or scope of our study. Similarly, if there is this concept which is not clearly defined, and you want to use a specific aspect of that concept for your study, you can always clarify that in the paper that, okay, for this particular study, I am using this definition of this term. For example, like there is no clear, like we have been working on one project where we are using this term low literate again and again, but there is no crystal clear definition of what do you mean by low literate, because there are multiple parameters attributing to low literacy. So then what we are doing in that is we are explicitly defining that for this particular study, we by low literate we mean this, and these are the some points which we are excluding in this definition, and hence we are conducting a study. So if that helps you in some way, that's one way of going about it. But again, how do you come with that definition? Right, like you only said that you might need some backing up, so you can always say that we derived our definition from these multiple resources, and that's why we came up with this, and that's how we are conducting a study. That could be one way. Like that's one way of going about it. I hope this helps.
Oh yeah, that helps. Essentially, making your assumptions and definitions clear in the first place and then proceeding probably. Cool.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Before moving on, if someone has other issues to discuss around the literature review or want to share their own experience of what has went through, it is a good time to share your experience right now. If there are no more things to discuss, we are today on time, and I think I would love then yeah, Chandra could take the next steps.
Right. Thanks, Pranjal. Thank you to everyone who came today and who stayed for the session today. Till now, we covered how to read and write a paper. We covered a session on how to do coding analysis and qualitative research. And then today we covered how to do literature review for HCI. Moving forward, our next session will be how to do coding analysis on atlas.ti by Anuradha Prabha Hirdi and Anik Shah. There's no need to download atlas.ti. We can do it in the online version. Here's the link. We'll be sending an invite to the next week's session to everyone who attended today. Once again, thank you so much for coming to today's session, and we look forward to having you with us for our future sessions.
Also, if Rahat wants to share the details for the 12th and 13th of June, or Chandra, you could do that announcement that virtual summer school would be happening on 12th and 13th.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Rahat.
Yes, so it's Rahat from Bangladesh. So we will have a summer school on 12th and 13th of June. So can I share my screen so I can just easily go through the website and
yes,
everyone can understand? Yeah. So so before sharing, okay, let me share. So are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So this is our summer school will be on 12th and 13th of June. So it will be mainly focusing on the research methodologies for CHI and CSCW because next year already, this year already, the most of the deadlines are gone, but CHI deadline is 7th of September. So we still have time to prepare a research paper for CHI and the next CSCW, cycles. So so basic objectives are we actually discuss here about the methodologies, research methodologies and the scopes and whatever we already discussed in this, writing paper series already. So here we have speakers from different genres. So Dr. Jackie, Dr. Ding, they will join from MSR, and Dr. Sayan will be talking there. He will talk about the quantitative research, and Jackie and Ding Wang will talk about the qualitative research. And also Dr. Wichen Lee will share his ideas. And then we will have a panel discussion. So it will focus on HCI research, career, and future. So these are the speakers for the panel discussion. So we will have a very good discussion there. So and there are some objectives that how mainly the focus is how young researchers come to the HCI research and R&D development or something like that. So I will share the website link to the chat in a second. But before that, I want to go to the agenda, because first of all, we actually made the agenda for whole day, but later we just we reduced the time, because a long time sitting on the virtual event, it is very difficult for us. So we will start from 9, I mean from 9 a.m. Bangladeshi time, but Dr. Jackie will start from 9:30, then Dr. Jackie, then Dr. Wang, then we will have a tea break at 11:30, 11:35 to 11:50. Then Dr. Sayan will talk about quantitative research. After that, we will have a Jumma prayer, because that is Friday. So there is a big gap. And then the last session will be last session will be qualitative research for HCI and syllabus system. So this will be the last session for Friday, and the next day we again start from 9:30 for the panel discussion. So this panel discussion will be for 2 hours. Then we will have a tea break, and the last session will be the presentation for participants, because we had some participants, because this summer school actually postponed on May. So we had that participants, and they submitted their work. So maybe they will present their present their research work in 5 minutes. So we will listen to them, and if we have time, then we can share our ideas with them, and we can provide them the suggestions, and then we will end our summer school. So we try to compile all these things in a very short moments, because we had a lot of session previously, but we have to reduce all these things. So I hope you people will join. Max, I will share the joining information with the Pranjal, so he can share with all of you, because he already has your email IDs and stuff. But I will keep posting, and I hope I can post the joining info by Friday. So let's hope.
We missed the group photo here. We have to put it somewhere.
Oh yes.
A Zoom group photo. So a fake Zoom group photo in our agenda. Yes.
So, yes,
yes. We welcome you all. We would love to have you. It's a great community. We are very happy to be connected, and we will be very happy. Like if you can virtually visit Bangladesh. Yeah, we will have so much for you and virtual tea.
And there is also one more very great resource, which is their books of research method.
Yes, I have already uploaded around 10 books maybe. So you can go to the books. So before that, let me share the link with you in this chat.
I think we all are connected on Slack and Google Group also. So it would be nice that
we can share it there.
And Google Group also, we will share it through that forum as well.
Great. Yeah, we can do it later. Yes, thank you.
And someone is, so basically, for the next session, don't worry, the cloud.atlas.pi is a free of cost. You could register yourself, and you don't need to purchase Atlas software. So it's just a small sign up which you have to do it. So you could do it and get a little bit of feel about it. And if Onik want to say something more on about the next session, it would be nice.
So yes, I have already shared the link in the chat, so you can go to it and you can see the details.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Sonic. So you don't need to download anything. So we will do it in our system. So you just need to sign up from the link I have given in the chat. So you can sign up from here and we will do it together. Hopefully we can have a great session next week.
Thank you, Amit.
Great. I'd just like to end by sharing the spreadsheet that I discussed at the beginning for the Find a HCI mentor. If anyone's interested, please enter your details. If you're
And
interested
one more
in being a mentor or being a mentee.
and about the date
Finally,
for the dates in the coming time. So most probably after 12th and 13th of June, we will take a break. We won't have any session on 21st of June, that is Sunday. We won't have that session. We are thinking to have our second clinic on 28th. If there are any points, suggestions, how the clinic should run forward, how this mentee-mentor relationship should work around, should we do handholding or should we just be facilitator, how we should set up this clinic so that, and what could be the tangible ways, and does mentors have time and how many mentees they are looking for and how they could contribute. These are the questions what we have in our mind, and love your feedback on that direction as well before just closing down. And the last presentation, if someone wants to bring out what is the feedback for us, what has been, what does not went well, what needs to be improved. So, Anupriya, Sayan, Professor Nova, Dr. Sheikh, any of you would love to share something, or anyone else, how this Excel sheet is working around or not?
Yeah, I think, hi, this is Shan. So I think we need to, I mean, if we are planning to submit paper at CHI or any conference towards the end of this year, so might be we should act accordingly from now on. So if people are really interested to have a discussion with their mentors, if really thinks that, okay, this kind of work might be suitable with this particular mentor. So I would like, I mean, I would request people to do it as early as possible, because it's difficult to, I mean, shape up the things at the last moment. So usually if you start thinking from, I mean, August or September, then it will be very hard to think about how to do things. So I think it's important is to come up very early. I know that many people have the ideas in their mind, but it's difficult to write it down and don't know what to write and what not to. But still, I should prefer that if you are brave enough, I mean, you should come up with whatever the writing you are having. Don't worry that we will be, I mean, helping you to shape it up. But of course, before that, maybe you need to discuss with your supervisor, thinking that, I mean, whether they really allow you to do so. So based on all these constraints, so I really require people, I mean, to come very early. I'm not me, I think all the mentors have the same idea. So if you start at the end and don't think about that, you finish all the writings once and then you come up to us. So it's having difficulties. So yeah, that's the point we should have. And might be I'm really looking forward to some of the at least projects in 28th of June's the clinic, at least to shape up in some one-page document or something. So what you want to do, and then what is your hypothesis, or what kind of results you are expecting from your study. So and also we need to also discuss a little bit about this COVID situation, how the user experiments will be going on. So if someone is really, I mean, taking care of or sharing experiences and how they are doing their research in COVID-19 situation, specifically the qualitative or even the quantitative research, please share. I think that would be a nice and fantastic session that how people actually will be doing. So in Germany, they have this kind of session and they are talking about many different technologies, how this can be helped. So there are technologies in VR, even if, I mean, you ask some questions, so you have some kind of interviews through VR sessions, and people are trying to do so. So in this situation, because this will not end soon, so it would be really good that if people have thoughts and people are, I mean, working on this, I think also Mumbai SIGCHI chapter. So Rucha shared some, feedback in the, among some of you already got this. So I think that is important to discuss that how, because if you are not cannot do the user experiment in person, so how you can actually follow up your studies and how you plan to do so. So looking forward to your input also into that. Yeah. Maybe Anupriya or Dr. Javed said something, or
Vinita has some points to add on to something. Or
yeah, please.
Broadly.
Devanush sir is not here. Oh.
He left, I think, around.
Oh, okay.
So Anupriya this side. So I just want to say that I completely agree with what Dr. Syan just said, that it's better to start early, and paper writing is always an iterative process, because that results in a better output, rather, putting all the energy, preparing first draft and then going back and working on it. So the early we start, the better it would be for all of them. And yes, again, the important thing is that you need to have a discussion with your supervisors and advisors, like if they are comfortable with sharing the work and involving us. So that these are the two things which I think I completely agree with Dr. Sayan here.
And even in the next following session, we can, we can discuss how we can do research in COVID-19 situation, because we cannot go to the users, and but we have to do something virtually because we cannot stop right now, and we have to work. So we already have done few research work during our COVID-19 in here, but I mean from our community. So I can share these things in the following sessions. I mean in 28th session maybe, or next Sky Clinic. So I think this will help people. So how can we deal with the situation with COVID-19? So yeah.
Thanks very much, Rad.
Yeah, thank you.
And if we have time, we could combine it with Onyx Sharp session as well. But yes, during the clinic as well, we could cover these things.
Thanks, folks. I'd also like to know if any of you have had issues with Zoom, whether you feel we should keep on using Zoom as the medium for these meetings. Is Zoom working well for everyone?
It's okay.
All right. I guess I'll call it. Thank you. Getting the chats. I guess I'll call it a day then. This has been a great session. Thank you so much for attending it once again. Do stay in touch. As we said, we've got so many sessions planned for the future. We look forward to having you with us. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Okay,
thank you very much to Pranjal and his team. Very good. Keep it up. Thank you.
We are all together and we shall overcome this.
For sure. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Pranjal, so maybe I forgot to record. I think in YouTube also in recording.
YouTube live.
Okay, that's great.
You don't have to worry about it.
Great. Thanks, Chandra. Yeah.
And
okay, see you. Have a good weekend. I mean, rest of the weekend. So bye-bye.
Okay, everyone. Bye.
Bye.